The first time I met my future self, I didn't recognize him. I was sitting alone in a small coffee shop on a rainy Thursday evening. I had gone there because I was supposed to be working. That was what I told myself. I had my laptop with me, a notebook, a list of things I needed to finish, 3 important tasks, one personal project I had been postponing for months, and a plan to finally get serious about my future. But my laptop was closed. My notebook was untouched, and my phone was in my hand. I had spent almost 4 hours scrolling. I wasn't even enjoying it anymore. I was just moving from one video to another, one post to another, one notification to another. Every few minutes I told myself, just one more. Then I would start working. One more video. One more message. One more scroll. Then suddenly the afternoon was gone. I looked at the clock. 6:47 p.m. I whispered, "Tomorrow I'll do it properly." I had said that sentence so many times that it didn't even feel like a promise anymore. It felt like background noise. I ordered coffee. Then I noticed a man sitting near the window. He looked like he was in his early 30s. Simple clothes. Dark hair. A short beard. No expensive watch. No flashy clothes. Nothing remarkable. Except for his face. There was something about him that made me look twice. He was staring at me. Not casually. Like he had been waiting for me. I looked away. When I looked back, he was still watching. Then he smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was a sad one. He pointed at the chair across from him. "Sit." I looked behind me. "Me?" He nodded. I walked over. "Do I know you?" He looked at me for a long moment, then said, "Not yet." I frowned. What does that mean? He reached into his bag and placed a photograph on the table. I picked it up. My heart stopped. It was a photograph of me, standing in my bedroom, holding my phone, wearing the exact same shirt I had worn that morning. I looked at him. "Where did you get this?" He didn't answer. I turned the photograph over. There was a date written on the back. 5 years from today. I laughed nervously. "Okay, who sent you?" Nobody answered. I looked up. The man was staring directly into my eyes. Then he said, "I'm you." I laughed. Actually laughed. Because it sounded ridiculous. "You?" He nodded. 5 years from now. I shook my head. "No." He smiled. "I knew you'd say that." "How?" Because I said the same thing. My smile disappeared. He leaned forward. "Do you want proof?" I didn't answer. He continued. "Last night, you were in bed at 12:47. My chest tightened. You picked up your phone." He paused. "You told yourself you were only going to watch one video." I stared at him. "You kept watching." My mouth went dry. "You finally stopped at 2:13. He looked at me. "Then you put the phone under your pillow and promised yourself you'd wake up early." I whispered. "Stop." "But you didn't." I looked away. He continued. "You woke up late." My hands were shaking. "You felt guilty." He paused. "Then you wasted another 20 minutes scrolling because you were already disappointed in yourself." I looked at him. "Who are you?" He answered quietly. "I'm the man you're becoming." He looked out the window. Rain was running down the glass. Then he said, "You think 5 years is a long time." I didn't answer. He looked at me. "It isn't." "What do you want?" "I want you to understand something." "What?" "You don't have a time problem." I frowned. "Then what do I have?" "A priority problem." I laughed. "That's basically the same thing." "No." He shook his head. "You have time. You just give it away." That sentence hit harder than I expected. He continued. "You give 10 minutes to your phone, 20 minutes to social media, another 30 minutes to random videos. You spend an hour thinking about what you should do. Then another hour planning how you'll do it. And after all that, you tell yourself you didn't have enough time. I looked down. He wasn't wrong. You know what's dangerous? What? You aren't completely unproductive. He paused. That's why you don't notice. You work. You handle responsibilities. You solve problems. You help people. You stay busy. But you're not consistently building the life you say you want. I felt uncomfortable. He leaned closer. You are confusing movement with progress. I had always been good at starting things. That was what I told myself. I liked learning. I liked technology. I liked new ideas. I liked YouTube. I liked creating things. I liked business. I liked discovering new tools. Every new idea felt like a door. I wanted to open all of them. One month, I would decide to focus on content. I'd research storytelling, learn thumbnails, study titles, watch successful channels. Then I'd get excited about something else. Maybe online business. Maybe editing. Maybe another skill. Maybe another project. I always had a reason. Sometimes I genuinely wanted to explore, but sometimes I was simply avoiding commitment. Because commitment creates pressure. If I choose one thing and give it 5 years, eventually I'll find out whether I was actually capable. But if I keep switching, I can always tell myself, I just haven't found the right thing yet. That was one of the biggest lies I told myself. I didn't need another idea. I needed to stay with one. My future self knew that. You don't have an idea problem, he said. You have a finishing problem. My phone became the easiest escape in my life. Whenever something was difficult, I reached for it. Whenever I felt bored, I reached for it. Whenever I didn't know where to start, I reached for it. Whenever I felt tired, I reached for it. And whenever I felt disappointed in myself, I reached for it again. The irony was painful. The phone was often the reason I felt behind. And then I used it to escape the feeling of being behind. It was a loop. I would waste time. Feel guilty. Escape the guilt. Waste more time. Feel worse. Promise tomorrow would be different. Repeat. My future self looked at me. Do you know what your biggest addiction was? I said. Social media? He shook his head. Comfort. I stared at him. You became addicted to avoiding discomfort. That was the truth. I wasn't always afraid of hard work. I was afraid of the feeling that came before hard work. The uncertainty. The boredom. The possibility of failure. The feeling that I wasn't good enough. The phone made all of that disappear instantly, but only temporarily. There was a sentence my father once told me. I didn't understand its importance then. We were sitting together one evening. He asked me about my plans. I told him about all the things I wanted to do. I talked for almost 20 minutes. New skills. Work. Business. Content. Money. Future plans. He listened quietly. Then he asked, So what are you doing now? I smiled. Working on it. He nodded. How much? I hesitated. He smiled. That's what I thought. I laughed. But he wasn't trying to insult me. He said, Plans are useful. Then he paused. But a man is eventually judged by what he finishes. I didn't know how deeply those words would stay with me. 5 years later, I remembered them. Because I had accumulated plans. But my father had been asking a different question. Not what do you want? Not what could you do? Not what are you thinking about? He was asking, What are you actually doing? I had a friend who started learning something around the same time I did. He wasn't more intelligent than me. He wasn't more creative. He didn't have better equipment. His first work wasn't impressive. Mine wasn't either. But there was one difference. He kept going. When his first attempt failed, he made another. When nobody watched, he continued. When he didn't understand something, he learned. When he got bored, he stayed. I watched him. At first, I thought, he's wasting his time. Then 6 months passed. He improved. A year passed. He became good. 2 years passed. People started paying him. 3 years passed. He built a reputation. 5 years passed. He had a career. And I had 5 years of explanations. I told myself he was lucky. He had better timing. He found the right opportunity. But deep down I knew. He simply stayed. I had talent. He had consistency. And consistency won. It wasn't money. It wasn't a job. It was a relationship. Someone close to me once said, "You are here, but you're not really here." I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" "You keep looking at your phone." I looked down. My phone was in my hand. I put it away. "I'm listening." He smiled. "Now you are." That sentence should have embarrassed me. Instead, I forgot it. Until years later. Because I realized something. People don't always leave because of one huge betrayal. Sometimes they slowly stop expecting your attention. They stop calling. Stop asking. Stop waiting. Because they learn you're always busy, or distracted, or tired, or doing something. I thought I could always make time later. But later is not guaranteed. I didn't destroy my health in one day. I neglected it in small ways. I sat too long. Moved too little. Slept badly. Spent too much time on screens. Ignored fatigue. Ignored routine. Ignored the signals my body was giving me. I kept saying, "I'll get serious about my health." Then I would start. 3 days. Maybe a week. Then stop. Again. And again. Until one morning, I looked into the mirror. I didn't recognize my own expression. I looked older. Not dramatically. Just tired. I asked myself, when did this happen? The answer was simple. While I was busy doing everything else. I wanted financial freedom. But wanting something and building the system required for it are different. I wanted higher income. But I didn't always invest enough time in becoming more valuable. I wanted savings. But I didn't always have discipline. I wanted multiple income streams. But sometimes I was trying to build 5 things instead of building one strong thing. I wanted stability. But I kept chasing quick opportunities. 5 years later, I wasn't completely broke. But I wasn't financially where I could have been. And that hurt. Because there was no single disaster I could blame. Just thousands of small decisions. Small purchases. Lost opportunities. Unfinished projects. Skills I never mastered. Income one never built. Money I never saved. The damage wasn't dramatic. It was cumulative. I met my future self again. Same coffee shop. Same table. This time he looked more tired. I sat down. "Are you okay?" He laughed. "I'm fine." "You don't look fine." He looked at me. "That's the problem." "What?" "My life wasn't terrible. I waited." He continued. "I didn't lose everything. I wasn't homeless. I wasn't completely alone. I still worked. I still had people. I still had food. I still had a roof. So what was wrong?" He looked at me. I knew I could have done more. That sentence broke something inside me. Because I realized how painful an average life can become when you know you had the ability to build something extraordinary, but repeatedly chose comfort. He pulled out an old notebook. I recognized it immediately. My handwriting. My goals. My dreams. He opened the first page. I had written, "This year I will change my life." He turned the page. Another promise. Then another. Then another. Different dates. Same intention. He looked at me. "You kept promising." I whispered. "I tried." "I know." "Then why didn't it work?" "Because trying became your excuse." I looked at him. He explained. "You could always say you were trying. So you never had to admit that you weren't consistent." That hurt. Because it was true. My future self showed me another room. It was brighter. There was a desk. A computer. A camera. A wall covered with completed projects. There were financial records. Travel photographs. family photographs, a healthier version of me, a stronger version, a calmer version. I looked at him. Is that real? He said. It could have been. Was I successful? Not perfectly. Then what changed? You stayed. He pointed at the desk. You stayed with one skill. He pointed at the financial records. You stayed disciplined. He pointed at the photographs. You stopped postponing life. He pointed at the healthier version of me. You started taking care of the body, carrying all your dreams. I stared at the wall, then asked, why didn't I do that? He answered, because every day you chose what felt easier. I finally got angry. So you're blaming me for everything? No. Then what do you want? Responsibility. What's the difference? Blame makes you feel guilty. Responsibility makes you act. I became quiet. He continued. You can't control everything. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Money will be tight sometimes. Your health will have bad days. Work will become difficult. Some opportunities will disappear. Some people will leave. Life will hurt. He leaned closer. But you still have a choice. About what? Whether you keep moving. He asked me. If you knew you only had 5 years to build the life you wanted, what would you stop doing tomorrow? I immediately thought of my phone. Then random scrolling. Then unfinished projects. Then constant switching. Then procrastination. Then excuses. He nodded. Now another question. What? What would you start? I said. Working consistently. How much? I don't know. Exactly. I had always spoken in vague language. Work harder. Get healthier. Save money. Learn more. Build something. But vague goals create vague behavior. So he told me. Make it measurable. That changed everything. I decided to protect 2 hours every day. Not 12. Not 10. 2. Those hours belong to my future. No social media. No random messages. No entertainment. No pointless browsing. Just the most important work. The first week was difficult. The second week was boring. The third week felt normal. That was the beginning. I wasn't transforming overnight. I was building evidence. Evidence that I could control my attention. Evidence that I could finish. Evidence that I could keep a promise. And slowly, my confidence changed. Not because someone told me I could succeed. Because I had proof that I could rely on myself. I made another decision. One major project. One major skill. 1 year. No constant switching. I could explore ideas. But I couldn't abandon my main direction every time something new looked exciting. That rule was painful. Because there were always new opportunities. New apps. New platforms. New trends. New business ideas. New tools. But I finally understood. Every new direction has a cost. You don't just gain a new opportunity. You abandon momentum somewhere else. I had been paying that cost for years. The first year was not glamorous. I worked. I learned. I failed. I adjusted. I repeated. Some days were terrible. Some days I wasted time. But I didn't quit. That was the difference. My work improved. My skill improved. My health improved. My finances became more organized. My relationships became more intentional. Nothing exploded overnight. But everything moved. Slowly. Quietly. Forward. By the second year, people started noticing. Not because I became special. Because repetition creates competence. Things that once took hours became easier. I knew what worked. I knew what didn't. I stopped needing constant motivation. I had systems. And systems are powerful because they don't depend on how you feel. I learned something important. Discipline is not doing everything perfectly. It's returning to the important things repeatedly. By the third year, my financial life changed. I was more careful. I had better habits. I saved consistently. I invested in useful skills. I stopped buying things simply because I wanted temporary excitement. I started thinking in years instead of days. That was a major change. I no longer asked, "Can I afford this today?" I asked, "Does this support the life I'm building?" That one question changed my spending. By the fourth year, my phone no longer controlled me. I still used it. I still watched videos. I still enjoyed social media, but I could put it down. That ability sounds small. It wasn't. Because attention is one of the most valuable things you own, and I had been giving mine away for free. I started protecting it. I stopped checking notifications every few minutes. I stopped beginning mornings with someone else's content. I stopped ending every night with endless scrolling. My mind became quieter. My work became deeper. My days became longer without actually having more hours. 5 years passed, and I finally understood something. Time had never been my enemy. My relationship with time was. The same 5 years could produce two completely different lives. One person could spend them scrolling, postponing, and restarting. Another could spend them learning, building, saving, and taking care of themselves. Both would wake up 5 years older, but they would not wake up in the same life. That was the truth my future self had been trying to show me. I returned to the coffee shop. Same rain. Same window. Same table. My future self was there. But this time, he looked different. Calmer. Stronger. He smiled. "You came back." I sat down. "Did I become you?" He laughed. "No." "Why?" "Because you became yourself." I didn't understand. He explained. "You finally stopped trying to become someone else. You became the man you had been capable of becoming all along." I looked at him. Was it worth it? He looked out the window. Yes. Even though it was hard. Especially because it was hard. He smiled. Easy choices gave me 5 years of regret. Hard choices gave me 5 years of growth. If I could go back, I wouldn't tell myself to work 16 hours a day. I wouldn't tell myself to become perfect. I wouldn't tell myself to wake up before everyone else. I'd tell myself 5 simple things. Control your phone. Choose one direction. Finish what you start. Protect your health. And keep your promises to yourself. That's it. Because the biggest changes don't usually look impressive on the day they happen. They look boring. Going for a walk. Saving money. Closing an app. Finishing a task. Going to sleep on time. Working when you don't feel like it. Calling someone you love. Doing the thing you said you'd do. Then doing it again. And again. And again. Until one day you look back and realize you became different. If you're listening to this story and wondering what to do after it ends, don't create 100 goals. Start with 5 rules. Rule 1. Take back your attention. Your phone is a tool. Don't let it become your master. Rule 2. Build one thing. Choose one major skill or project. Give it enough time to become something real. Rule 3. Protect 2 hours. Every day, give 2 focused hours to the future version of yourself. Rule 4. Take care of your body. Your ambitions are useless if the body carrying them is constantly exhausted. Rule 5. Review your life. Every week ask yourself, what did I finish? What did I waste? What did I learn? What did I earn? What did I save? How did I treat my health? Who did I give my attention to? What am I still postponing? I still remember the first thing my future self said. You're late. At the time, I thought he meant the coffee shop. He didn't. He meant my life. I had been late to my own future. Late to my health. Late to my goals. Late to my potential. Late to the people I loved. Late to the person I could become. And the worst part? Nobody had stopped me. I had simply kept saying, tomorrow. One day. Then another. Then another. Until years disappeared. That's how life changes. Not always through disasters. Sometimes through habits. The habit of checking your phone. The habit of postponing. The habit of quitting. The habit of making plans instead of progress. The habit of saying you're tired when you're actually distracted. The habit of telling yourself you'll start later. Small habits don't look dangerous until they have 5 years behind them. Then they look like your life. So ask yourself today, where is my attention going? What am I building? What am I avoiding? What am I postponing? What do I keep saying I'll do one day? And most importantly, who am I becoming? Because you're already becoming someone. Every day, every decision, every hour, every time you choose your phone over your work, every time you choose comfort over growth, every time you choose to save, every time you choose to spend, every time you choose to move, every time you choose to sit, every time you choose to call someone, every time you choose to ignore them, you're voting for a future version of yourself. And eventually, that version arrives. 5 years from now, you will meet yourself, and he will carry the results of what you did today. Maybe he'll be stronger, maybe wiser, maybe financially stable, maybe proud, or maybe he'll sit alone somewhere, remembering all the things you promised to do. He won't hate you. He won't insult you. He'll just wish you had understood sooner. Because the future doesn't need your motivation. It needs your decisions. It doesn't need another promise. It needs your consistency. It doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to return. When you fail, return. When you waste a day, return. When you lose motivation, return. When nobody believes in you, return. When the numbers are low, return. When the work is boring, return. Because eventually, returning becomes consistency. Consistency becomes discipline. Discipline becomes identity. And identity becomes your life. So don't ask yourself, can I change my whole life today? You can't. And you don't need to. Ask yourself something smaller. What is one thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for? Maybe it's putting the phone down. Maybe it's working for one focused hour. Maybe it's starting the skill you've been postponing. Maybe it's saving money. Maybe it's taking care of your health. Maybe it's calling someone you love. Maybe it's finally finishing something you've been carrying for months. Whatever it is, do it. Not tomorrow. Today. Because 5 years will pass whether you are ready or not. The question isn't whether you'll be older. You will. The question is what you'll have built by then. I know because I've already lived that future. I know what regret feels like. I know what wasted potential feels like. I know what it feels like to look at an old notebook and realize you wrote the same dream 5 years ago. And I know what it feels like to finally stop waiting. So I'm asking you now. Don't make me wait 5 more years. Don't make me become the version of you who regrets everything you could have done. Become the version of yourself who started, who stayed, who finished, who protected his time, who protected his health, who protected his family, who protected his future. Because one day, you will sit across from yourself, and there will be no excuses left. Only the result. Only the life. Only the person you became. And when that day comes, I hope you look into your own eyes and smile. I hope you can say, I didn't waste it. I didn't do everything perfectly, but I showed up. I kept going. I became someone I could respect. And if you don't change today, I will become you. But if you start today, I will become the man you always wanted to be. The choice is yours. Not 5 years from now. Today.